Car Nation Under the Hood is brought to you by Summit Racing Equipment.
It ain't too often a truck comes along and changes the game, but it's even more rare that it comes along and creates its own. Man, that is a lot of truck. Dan, how's it going?
Good, Eric. How are you?
Good. It is an honor and a privilege to have you both in here. I mean, I think this might count as more than one vehicle at this point.
It's a lot of memories.
Oh, I have no doubt about that. I mean, there wouldn't be a monster truck world without Bigfoot.
Bigfoot and Bob Chandler, absolutely.
We're at the 50th anniversary this year,
Yes,
right?
we are. Yes, we are. We're going to have a big year. Got a lot of new paint jobs out there, running the different circuits, so it's pretty exciting for us, too.
A lot of different paint jobs, but not this one.
No.
See, keep this one original.
Yes, we do. And there's argument about whether this one needs to be painted or not, or whether we should leave it the way it is. I mean,
the way it looks now, that's the way that it should look.
I'm with you.
This is what everybody expects. You think of Bigfoot, this is the truck.
Right.
You know? I mean, you can't change that. No,
Well,
that's got to stay.
It's a neat piece, definitely a neat piece.
Yeah, I don't even know where to start with talking about this thing. I mean, there is just so much of everything to talk about. I guess we'll just start at the back and just see how this thing is built, how it's put together.
Absolutely. A lot of it itself is like old 5-ton military stuff. The housings, transfer case. That's where they started back then. I mean, it was a truck for Bob to promote his business when he first built it. And as he promoted it and it got bigger and his foot got heavier, hence the name Bigfoot, they had to build bigger parts, put bigger parts on it, and they used what was available at the time.
So this truck really, it was more of a snowball than anything.
It was a shop truck. Bob had a 4-wheel drive shop, and this was really a promotion tool when he started, and that's where it all hence came from. Bigger tires, bigger lift kits.
Yeah, I would say at 5.5 feet tall, that's a little bit bigger than stock.
Yeah, the tires are actually fertilizer spreader tires. They use them on the sprayers in the field, and a lot of people ask where those come from, but it's an agricultural tire.
Really? And it still handles all the bumps from jumping and running over cars and everything?
They're rated for a lot more weight than what we are using them for.
This was first to run rear steer. I mean, what other firsts has this thing done as far as engineering a vehicle like this?
One of my favorites, it was the first truck to ever run over cars on purpose. There's a guy that had a 4-wheel drive shop that got a wild hair, and he's like, well, I can run over cars with this. And they tried it, and there's old pictures of it. And he's out in the middle of a cornfield that looks like it'd just been picked. And they took 2 cars side by side and drove it up over top of it. And it's really where it all started at.
The best use of the phrase, and the rest is history.
Correct. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a good way to put it. I mean, really, it's the first to do a lot of things as far as the monster truck industry goes, and that's what makes it really interesting, and how well it held up.
Again, the fact that it is still sitting here, it's the original steel body, right? There's no fiberglass or anything?
Most of it. I mean, we've changed some damaged parts, It did go to a fiberglass front end. Actually, it's a 79 front end. We switched it back when they put a flip front end on it, and we're able to flip it up so they could show off the motor. And it's come a long ways from then till now and back to where it was kind of when Bob started,
I remember being a kid and watching the Bigfoot trucks run, and now like looking at number one just sitting here, this is otherworldly for me. I mean,
like I said, people will just come to see it because of what it is.
Inarguably the most iconic truck in the world.
Even the frame and stuff, it's, all of that's pretty much original. The nose clip, I think they changed a bedside or two because Bob got in it. He used to run this truck really hard in the mud. I mean, there's pictures of Bob in the mud with it, and it all goes back to where Bigfoot came from, but he's actually got his foot in the gas so hard, and the truck is actually sunk in the mud, and you see flames coming out between the block and the heads because the head's lifting off and he's still wide open. Bigfoot. Bob Chandler.
That makes a lot more sense now. See, I always kind of figured that Bigfoot came about as the tires got bigger. I mean, looking underneath, obviously, nothing is stock under here either.
No, sir.
I mean, these are probably some of the biggest ladder bars I've ever seen on anything. And then, looking at the front, there's hydraulics here.
It was something that they tried, and it worked, to take a little of the cushion of the blunt of the cars when the front end tries to roll under, because they were wadding leaf springs up. So they lessened the spring pack, put those on there to try to take some shock out of it. It worked a little.
I mean, it's just, everything is just so big and beefy. I mean, you've got guards on all of the U-joints. That's probably smart, huh?
A lot of the safety stuff that came into play later too. You know, you start chucking drive shafts out. You got to worry about spectators and safety, and not only that, safety of the driver. Rear steering, it's electric over hydraulic. It's a switch here and a steering wheel here and a shifter here. It's been quite a few years ago where we put everything on the steering wheel. It didn't work. It just makes it too top heavy. Everything happened too quick. You throw it in the corner and it just goes that way. It doesn't go that way.
Well, that's not what you want them to do.
So it started here, but that's where a lot of it went.
So suspension-wise, I see you've still got the leaf springs in the back and the front. What, is that a 4-inch block on top of the rear axle?
Yes, I believe so. Now you're getting there, but yeah, it's either 4 or 6.
I've always been a little iffy on using blocks over springs for a lift, but if it's good enough for this thing, I guess I'll put a block in anything from now on.
I think the stack of leaf springs that's in there has a lot to do with it as well.
Now that I see you got the old aftermarket grill on there that actually looks pretty good.
Pretty good, yeah. Like I said, a lot of that stuff was either wrecked or rotted, and it was hard to find parts when a lot of that got changed, so they just decided to go to the flip front end and make it hydraulic, and that way he'd show off a little more, I guess, is the way I'm looking for it.
And you got this winch on the front. Does that actually ever do anything?
It did back in the day. It absolutely did. You know, Bob played a lot around with back then it was Lesterville, which was down southern Missouri. He was out in the creeks and streams and got a lot of neat photos and got a lot of recognition from that at the time as well, because BIGFOOT was down in Lesterville or at Gravel Rama, and he was running the truck up the rock cliff, you know, that nobody could hardly make it in a regular truck, and Jim Kramer was shooting this thing up a rock wall, you know, 500-600 foot up, you know, so it was pretty cool.
So we've got the truck here. I gotta ask, can I get in it?
Absolutely. I think you should.
Actually, the question really might be looking at how tall it is.
Well, you know, that's kind of on you.
Oof. All right, let's see if I can figure this out.
Yeah, it's just kind of a roll cage.
Oh.
See, you're a pro already. You got this.
So next I get to drive it, right?
Might have to make a phone call for that one.
Wow. This is quite the cockpit in here.
C6 transmission, manual valve body, so it has a ratchet shifter in it, so you don't skip one or you don't shove it in neutral. We've had that happen before too, and it wasn't good. I'm gonna go ahead and close this door.
All right.
It's all right with you.
Oh, wow. I could get it home in here.
Rush hour traffic, babe.
Go by a lot faster in this thing.
Yeah, actually, so the steering on the front is just like a car. It's on a steering wheel.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So you got regular steering for the front, and then you said electric over hydraulic for the rear.
Right, and the electric over hydraulic is right here on the door panel.
Oh.
So there's 2 switches. The switch that's closest to you controls the rear steering, left to right, left, back and forth. It's just a center switch, so it pops back when you leave it go.
Okay.
And the steering will stay wherever you leave it at. That was tough back in the day. Now we got it all self-centered, you know, and it makes it a lot easier because we're going so much faster. We're carrying so much more momentum. But back in the day, this worked great. It's just when you threw the rear steering sideways, you had to bring it back and feel it come back to get it straight before you hit something. Otherwise, you were hitting it all crabbed out of shape. But over in the center, there's a yellow thing. If you just pull that out.
Okay, there it is.
And then you can work that rear steering if you want a little.
That's clever though, having it right up here, because I would guess that you guys probably always have the windows down if you're running this thing.
And we did, and the guys that drove back then, Jim Kramer drove for Bob forever, has got a bad elbow from beating it on the door because he had his head hanging out the window, you know. He's in a lap belt in there just hanging out to see what he could see. So yeah, he beat himself up pretty good. We moved the rear steering sometime late 80s. Bob Chandler actually got a picture of Andy Brass. Bob was big into video, and we were at one of the domes, and Andy was running the rear steering on a turn course racing, and the shifter at the same time. Guess what? On the video, Andy don't have a hand on the steering wheel. Bob was like, no more. So they moved it down on the shifter nowadays, so you shift and you run the rear steering with one hand.
I say this actually looks pretty convenient though, because I would guess that front power steering is probably pretty solid, especially if it's only running the one axle.
Yep.
So yeah, you got full control right here. We know that this thing originally had that 640 in it, but that's not what's under there anymore. So I think it's time we see what's under the hood.
Actually, if you want, we can do that. Right there in front of your rear steering will be the switch that will flip the hood up for us, and we could check that out. Yeah, don't worry, she's old. She makes a little noise,
a little
but
creaky.
It's okay.
But you know what? She still works.
She still works. Oh, workhorse. 50 years later, buddy.
Opening the hood on Bigfoot might be the coolest thing I've ever done. So, what do we got cooking under here now?
This is actually a big block 490, Ford, of course.
Oh, yeah.
871 blower. Couple Holly carburetors. It does pretty decent for this, and a lot of it's in the gear ratio, but
I was gonna say, what kind of power is that thing putting out?
it does right at 650, somewhere in there. I mean, so it's fairly healthy motor.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good power level for most things, but I would imagine even that amount of power going to these tires, you would have to have some crazy gearing in there.
There is. I mean, the gearing's knocked way back with the planetaries and what we run in the gear ratios in the rear end. I mean, you're looking at like 573 to 610, somewhere.
Oh, wow,
in there.
you're up there.
Yes, just to get it right. Well, the size of the tires, so you...
How much does one of these weigh with the wheel in it?
Tire and wheels about 800 pounds. That's a lot of the reason that they're cut back or buff like this. A brand new tire by itself will weigh 1,000 pounds. So
that's a lot of weight to be turning.
So we send them off, have them buffed. They take 250, 300 pounds of rubber off each tire. The truck itself, this one set up this way, a little over 14,000 pounds.
That 490's moving it just fine.
Yeah. For what we're doing with it nowadays, it does an outstanding job. You know, like I said earlier, they had the big 640 in there when we were actually competing it and doing stuff with it. Change with the times, we use it a lot for, you know, just showing it off because of what it is.
You have obviously done a lot. I mean, Dan the man, you yourself are a legend. So I'm going to ask, what was the scariest stunt you've ever done?
It was probably the airplane jump. I mean, when we jumped to 727, there was a lot involved in that. The first big thing that Bigfoot had ever tried to do at that point, as far as the level of what the stunt actually was, you know, and just to watch the whole thing go down. I can tell you kind of a funny part about that one is we did it at an air show, and we were building the ramp, and they had maintenance people for the air show there, and every day for like 6 days, they would stop by and ask, when are you going to finish the ramp? Well, by the 5th or 6th day of telling these guys that this 12-foot ramp, this 4-foot tall, is what we're using. And they just shake their head, and they'd come back the next day and they would ask the same question, when are you guys going to finish the ramp? The plane's way over there. Thanks, you're really of them a courage there, buddy. But yeah, there was a lot that went into that. It was pretty scary.
This truck has made a lot of things possible that most people probably would have thought there's no way.
Correct. I mean, and it has. I don't even know I guess instigated the whole industry, because once more people got involved in it, it just made the whole industry roll faster and harder. You know, 35 years ago when I started, because I'd get to meet the guy that was the Bigfoot guy, and he knew all about Bigfoot. Well, 35 years later and 3 generations, now Grandpa and his son and his grandson are all coming, and it's pretty heartfelt. Still makes us #1.